Cap, hello, Amanda here. Welcome to Unseen Hands Healing. This is going to be your September shift reading. So we're looking at the shape you're shifting out of this month, the shape you're shifting into, and what that shape shift looks and feels like. Capricorn, before we get into your cards, the image that's coming through for you is really interesting. At first I was really drawn to this image of a seam. Okay, so like the thing that joins, or like the area where two things join. It's like where two things are meeting, they are creating a seam. The seam is where two forces are joined together, or two people are joined together, or two materials are joined together. But then I was like, okay, so there's a seam and there's something like joining two forces, but then I'm like looking at the seam and it started appearing like a crack to me. So I really don't know what this reading is, or what this image is saying. There's something about filling the gap, closing the gap, because if you're creating a seam, you're closing the gap between two things. So it's like close the gap seems to be one message. And yet, you know, there's this other message of like a crack. And the crack seems to be cracking something open at the same time. So at the same time that you're bringing something together and closing the gap, there's also like, it's like closing the gap and unifying something, bringing something together. Also then like, because then it sort of got really cosmic for me and I felt like a crack in the fabric of the universe. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing, like this crack. In the laws of physics or something. Like, I really don't know. The readings have been really trippy this go round. So, I mean, I'm in a pretty particular headspace here. There's something about a seam and something about a crack. So let's see what this is all about. We're gonna use the fairy deck. It's been coming through a lot and speaking very loudly in personal readings and has clearly been speaking for these September shift readings. So I'm very excited to see what this is about for you, Capricorn. All right, what is the shape shift for Capricorn in September? Help us understand this seam and this crack. What is the shape shift for Capricorn in September? Okay, two more cards. Or really like however many want to come out, because at this point in these readings, they've just gone totally rogue, which is really fun. Okay, let's see, we got cards. Give me a second to figure out how everything needs to go. If this card comes out one more time, Epona's wild daughter, the fawn, ooh baby, okay. This is interesting. This is sort of similar to the Scorpio reading I was getting. Got some similar cards here. Okay. Initiation, Fawn and Oakman. What is this? And as these readings have been going, it's like the format is getting really wild. Okay. All right, so this, it's so strange. The same message has been coming out for a lot of folks. Scorpio got it, Virgo got it in a way, and now you're getting it. It's this, and these exact cards came out for Scorpio, and one of them came out for Virgo. This is really interesting. Okay, we have Geo the Slow and Indy, which feels like indecision. So these cards combined speak to me of being in some sort of limbo or some sort of in-between space where it almost feels like things have massively slowed for you or are moving in slow motion. Things are so in the in-between state that everything has sort of slowed down because nothing is one or the other. You know, everything, indie sort of has this like, right? This like up in the air. Everything is up in the air. Everything is in between. in between decisions, in between like decisive phases of your life. And so things have slowed perhaps, or maybe they even feel like they're in slow motion, or that things are taking very long, because not only do we have those cards, but we've also got this card here, Epona's Wild Daughter, which is speaking to me specifically for you well, actually for Virgo, Scorpio, and you, of being held back or held down in some way, because this larger force here, maybe like Epona, because of the horse leg. And to me, horses symbolize chariot energy, which is energy of movement, which contradicts this energy of indecision and slow-mo, not being able to move because you're in an in-between space. And this is energy of forces that would otherwise move you forward or launch you forward are somehow holding you in place. And maybe there's like quite a lot of struggle and anxiety with that feeling of being held down or being held in place for some reason, or being held back. There's also an energy of being unable to see because this person is like folded in half. There's a cycle of being unable to see in that darkness, in the darkness of the unknown, of just like not knowing, right? Again, indecision, not knowing which way things are going to go. But of course, there's wisdom in that darkness. The owl can see through the dark. There's a deeper wisdom that can see through the opaque, dense energy of the unknown. You're being held, a feeling of being held back or down because you're in this in-between state. And it's like being in that state of your life is somehow some sort of initiation. Singer of initiation has been coming out for a lot of folks too. Came out for Leo. The singer of initiation. The readings this month are more connected than they ever have been. It's pretty fascinating. It's like everyone could really watch all of these readings because they're so collective in a way, and the message is so much the same. Nuanced, of course, for each sign, but it's kind of wild. So an initiation speaks to me of a rite of passage, of there's no initiation without facing some sort of fear. So there's some sort of trial period that is perhaps quite scary that you must pass through in order to reach the other side as this like more developed, enlightened, evolved version of yourself. You know, that you come out the other side of an initiation feeling quite grown, you know, feeling like, wow, I'm really a different person after this. And this, I think, is the initiation. And maybe the initiation itself is like part of the trial of this initiation is how slow things are moving, or how slow it feels like your life is in this in-between initiation phase. But initiation also implies the beginning. You are being initiated into something else, something new, a new phase of your life. And then it's almost like on the other side, we've got these much larger, higher spiritual energies that are coming through. So, I mean, these are all, these here are like really higher spiritual energies. You can tell the difference between this sort of spectral, astral, ephemeral light artwork, and then this like very earthy artwork. And to me, that communicates that like this is a higher spiritual transformation happening for you. Like it's a spiritual initiation, and this is what's happening for you on the level of your spirit, and this is what's happening for you on the earth level. So there's something really interesting. It's almost like an opposite situation happening, where on the spirit level you are becoming the fawn. And how I've been seeing the fawn in these readings is this energy of emerging out of the birth canal, right? A fawn being born, which would be an initiation, emerging out of the chute and finding your legs for the first time, like maybe feeling a little wobbly for sure, but like discovering that you have legs. Like imagine what it's like to be a fawn and to stand for the first time. I think I said this in the Aries reading as well. And then to run for the first time and to be like, oh my gosh, look at the magic that I have in these legs. That's what it feels like to me. Discovering fawn energy is discovering your magic for the first time, almost like a child, like a new part of you, your spirit, a spiritual part of you is being born for the first time and discovering a level of your spiritual magic, maybe that you didn't know you have, which is strangely aging you, you know, because we have the Oakmen, which is this like very much elder energy. So we have the energy of a child in spirit, but the energy of an elder in person. It's like this spiritual birth in you is gaining you years in wisdom on this earth. It's like you're feeling like an old head, you know, you're like really feeling like, wow, I have matured so much. I have gained in wisdom so much. And now I'm like this old oak being, you know, come to me for wisdom. It's like that kind of energy. You're just really feeling wise for your years here because of coming through this initiation and beginning to get your sea legs, which is something, you know, a phrase that comes through for Capricorn quite often, but it's like you're beginning to get your spiritual sea legs maybe, and that is just expanding the roots of your wisdom. There's something in that, the roots, because, you know, trees are connected underground via roots. If you're expanding your root system, Capricorn, you are linking with other trees, you know, who have the same energy as you and creating like a support system below the surface that's going to sustain you. It's like trees can communicate with one another and feed each other nutrients if one is ailing and like really support each other beneath the surface. This is so interesting. But again, it's like I think your experience of this is perhaps uncomfortable because it's slower than you're used to going and less decisive than you're used to being. And it's almost like you're feeling like something larger than you is holding you in place and holding you down. And it's like, when will I feel like things are decisively taking off and moving for me? And it's like, hold on, Cap, you're in the initiation phase. It will happen. You will feel like that fawn getting to run for the first time. But there's deep, deep wisdom to be gained in this passage of initiation, which is of course reflected here by the owl. And it's dark in that birth canal, right? It's dark in that initiation passage. But that's where, and this came through the Virgo reading, it's like being in the dark is how you learn to see in the dark. It's like when you're camping and instead of just letting your eyes adjust to the darkness, you're like always reaching for some sort of light. What happens when all the lights go out? Right? What happens when all the lights go out? You're forced to adjust. And it's that adjustment that gives you a new pair of eyes, a new kind of sight, a new kind of wisdom. Initiating you into a new level of being here, or a new kind of life. Oh, Capricorn, this is good. Okay, we're going to take this into an extended reading now and try to get some more out of this, some more specifics, and see if we can see what all of this is about for you. So if you'd like to join me in that extended, click the link in the description box below and that will take you to Patreon. Patreon is an online community I've created for folks who like my work and want to go deeper. If that sounds like you, head on over there, read the description when you get there so you know how a patronage works, and then I'll send you the extended for September. Okay. All right, Cap, thanks for joining me here. Take care. As if I needed any any backup, any validation on the message here, which I do always. And here it is. Hide your true feelings. You know, this deck is quite sarcastic. So obviously this is saying that like you can't hide your true feelings because look, they're just absolutely seeping up and out of this house. Right? There's just this like huge energy that is filling the house and even like seeping up out into the air. These feelings cannot be hidden. They will come out and they will reveal themselves. So it's like you can try to hide your true feelings, but you know, it's like this disguise energy. You really can't hide it. It has to be let out. And I think that's the bridging the gap. Interesting. Anything else for Capricorn? Did we have a flipper? Okay, yeah, beautiful. There's that lover's energy, that connection energy. Okay, love is when, what does it say? Love is when you look into someone's eyes and you see their heart. And there's this broken heart here, which speaks to me of the Five of Cups again, like this pain, emotional pain from the past that is still very much present. And look, if you look closely, this is two halves of the heart joining, and it's like there's a question for me. Is this a crack or is this a seam? Does a crack have the opportunity to actually rejoin and be sewn together as this, to create a seam?